Good afternoon, everybody. Could I ask everybody to please take your seats? I'd like to welcome you all to the 2014 State of the City of Dress. My name is Mark Garfalo. I'm the Town and City Clerk for the City of Derby. It's a pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies for this afternoon's festivities. We're glad you were able to bear the weather. We're glad it's not snowing. I know our street commissioner's happy about that. So is the tax board. So at this point, I'd like to, as you're gathering your seats, I'd like to ask everybody to please rise and to welcome the Derby Police Department Color Guard, who will escort our Mayor, Anita Dugato, into the auditorium of the Martin McCormick Auditorium here at Derby High School.
Left, right, column right, march.
At this point, I'd like to call upon Sarah Wadomski to sing and lead us in our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Great. I'd like you to please remain standing, and I'm going to call upon Troop 3, Boy Scouts of America, who celebrate their 100th anniversary this year. Their latest Eagle Scout, all the way from Academy Hill in Derby. He came way across town to make it here, and he walked uphill. So let's give a nice round of applause to our latest Eagle Scout, Colby McLiberty.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. McCliverty. And if you remain standing for just one more moment, before we get started, I'd just like to ask everybody to pause for a moment today to remember all of those family and friends who cannot be with us, who have served the city of Derby and who have passed on in the last year. We want to especially remember those that lost their lives 29 years ago in the River Restaurant explosion. It was 29 years ago yesterday. And tomorrow is Pearl Harbor Day. So remember those defenders from so many years ago who lost their lives in defense of our country. Thank you very much. Please be seated. We're very pleased to have everyone here today, and through the efforts of Electronic Valley and our good friend Jack Walsh, we are broadcasting live on the internet. It's commercial free, right, Jack? We'll be selling commercials next year. That's a different story. But we have some very special guests with us here today, and one is our state representative from the 104th District. She has chosen, after a long and stressful campaign, she does not want to speak today, but we're very proud that she is here, and she was just named yesterday as one of the deputy speakers of the House of Representatives for the state of Connecticut in Hartford. Our state representative from the 104th District, Wendy Kimball. Thank you for being here. We also have another special guest who is no stranger to us here in the city of Derby and to those of us in the state of Connecticut. He's been fighting on our behalf as a public servant, first as state representative, then as state senator from Stamford, then as our attorney general for many years, and now as our senior United States senator. Won't you give a warm Derby welcome to our United States Senator, Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you for your very, very long-standing public service to Derby and to our state of Connecticut. I'm so proud to be here with Mayor Dugatto and to once again benefit from her real dedication and caring for Derby and for our wonderful state of Connecticut. You know, one of my colleagues comes from West Virginia and has an old saying from the hollows of Appalachia where a lot of people don't get a lot of education. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think Mayor Dugatto and her family and all of this administration showed today how much they really care about Derby, initiating this new tradition of a State of the City address and also Discover Derby. You know, I am really impressed by this model initiative, an innovative approach to discovering Derby, but also disseminating its assets. And Derby may be the smallest city in geography, but it packs an economic punch, outsizing its square mileage. It really has assets and resources that are a model for the whole state in this initiative, in not just selling Derby, but expanding opportunity, driving jobs and economic growth. This Discover Derby initiative is a model for the whole state of Connecticut, and I'm so admiring of the mayor and her administration for leading Connecticut in this way, which is one of the reasons I'm here today, to say thank you to her and to you, all of you who have come here braving a wet and windy day and a lot else going on, to give a part of your Saturday afternoon to this initiative and to hearing about what Derby is doing. You know, Derby, as you know, has a rich tradition and history. It was a trading post back in 1641 when it was first established. It became a center of commerce and then manufacturing because of the Housatonic and Naugatuck rivers and its ability to exploit that water power in building and manufacturing. And today it has that same rich tradition, but also rich opportunities and assets. So I'm proud to be here today, and proud also that the mayor is demonstrating her accountability. That's what this day marks, a day of accountability when she is reporting to the people of Derby and also listening to them. There's nothing more important than listening when it comes to public service. That's how this day is also a model of listening and accountability and making sure that your government is responsive to the people of Derby and Connecticut. So that's really a message I'm going to take with me back to Washington, where there should be a lot more listening than there is right now, and a lot more action and responsiveness. And I'm so grateful to the people of Derby for giving me that message to take back to the nation's capital, where a lot of the nation's leaders could do well to listen more than they are right now, to respond more effectively, and to do what's happening right here in Derby. Accountability to the people. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you for having me today, and thank you for your great service.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my distinct honor to welcome you, as we said, to the 2014 State of the City Address. Thank you for giving me this privilege to lead this great city. We have a fantastic year this year, to a talented team. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to its members. Please rise and remain standing as I call upon you. Our state and federal legislators, we introduced. Is there anyone else? Stand. City staff, please stand. I know I saw some of you here. Board and commission members, please stand. I saw you here. Volunteers, please stand. Business owners who are here, stand. And residents of Derby, please stand. Thank you. Look around. You are all important members of the team. Without your hard work and dedication, we would not be moving in a positive direction we are. I know your work is largely unrewarded and often difficult, but it is important and truly appreciated. Thank you for all you do. You can sit down. Historically, the State of the City Address has been a time to celebrate and share some of the accomplishments of the previous year. And in keeping with that tradition, we will do some of that this afternoon. However, before I begin, I'd like to honor the Electronic Valley for serving the administrative and informational needs of the City of Derby for many years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the face of Electronic Valley, Jack Walsh. And I'd like to present, it's the site's sole administrator and one of Derby's most dedicated volunteers. Jack.
Well, I wasn't expecting to come up here today, but we are broadcasting it live anyways. But you know, I'll accept this on behalf of Electronic Valley and really the whole project called Healthy Valley, because I think some of you know the Healthy Valley. As you drive up and down Route 8, you see those signs that acknowledge Derby as an all-American city. And some of you probably wonder, what the heck is that? Well, back in 2000, Derby and the rest of the valley was selected as one of 10, you get that again, one of only 10 all-American cities in the entire country by the Civic League, United States Civic League. I thought that was a special honor. And the significance to me, because I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, is I firmly believe that the people in town have to have pride in their town before anybody else does. But you know what? It's always nice when people outside do recognize the special place that you are. So on behalf of all of us here as an all-American city, I want to thank you for all your accomplishments. Derby's a spectacular place to live, and I'm proud to be here.
I thought it appropriate to recognize the Electronic Valley today, since the city of Derby will soon be coming out from under its wing. Next month, we will be launching Derby's official city administrative website. I had ambitions of launching the official website much sooner. However, upon taking office, I found that the computers in City Hall were outdated, unreliable, and unable to meet our business needs. It became obvious that we needed to rebuild our network, not just to support a new website, but to conduct city business efficiently and with a level of service that reflects our commitment to moving Derby forward. Through careful planning and with support from our Board of Aldermen and Tax Board, we built a new technological infrastructure that is able to meet the modern needs of our city and its investors. The new computer system is not the only improvement we made at City Hall. We completed the installation of an alarm system with panic buttons to safeguard our employees and money they collect. We have a responsibility to protect that money, and it doesn't end after it's deposited into the city bank account. My staff has been scrutinizing every invoice and service contract that comes across their desks, from copiers to utility services, to make sure the charge is accurate, the expense is necessary, and the price is fair. We're also working hard to collect all of the money the city is owed. Review of tax records revealed a significant number of delinquent accounts, with some of those accounts on the books for years. Tax collector Denise Cesaroni and I discussed launching a new effort to claim this outstanding revenue. We dubbed it Project Pay-Up. I'm proud to report that Project Pay-Up has worked well. I'd like to have Denise Cesaroni come up and explain through the process of our tax sale. Denise.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? The tax office held a property tax sale yesterday at 2 p.m. in the Alderman's Chambers at City Hall. A tax sale is a collection tool granted to tax collectors by state statute and is very effective and provides a good rate of recovery. As you know, real estate taxes are the largest component of our grand levy. 98% of taxpayers who pay on time view tax sales favorably. Those who pay on time pay more in the form of a higher mill rate to compensate for those who do not pay on time. The process is clearly defined in the statute and must be followed precisely. Any missed deadline will cause the sale to be adjourned. Before the tax sale process begins, a final demand letter is sent to the property owner informing them that failure to respond to the demand will cause additional costs to properties subject to the tax sale. After the demand for payment has passed, the process begins involving multiple mailings both by regular and certified mail to all concerned property owners and various encumbrances for that property. Notices of levy and sale of real estate are posted and located just outside the town clerk's office, which identifies the properties. Multiple legal notices also must be published in the newspaper. On the day of the sale, Corporation Counsel Francis Teodoso commenced the auction with help from myself, the WPCA Administrator Marcy McGuire, and paralegal assistance from the Court Counsel's office. Attorney Teodoso outlined the process to the interested bidders and explained that this is not a happy occasion and that respectful conduct should be displayed. The successful bidder must pay the bid amount within a 5-day period. A closing is held and the tax collector provides a deed to the bidder and a copy to the town clerk's office where it remains unrecorded for 6 months. The 6-month period allows the property owner to redeem their property. The property is redeemed if the owner or interested party pays the amount of the bid and interest at a rate of 1.5% per month on the total bid. Derby's first tax sale was held in October 2010 under former tax collector Cinda Buchter, producing $585,000 of revenue just sitting on the books. Derby's 2014 tax sale included 29 properties owing delinquent real estate taxes and sewer fees. The result of the collector's final demand letter satisfied 10 delinquent properties and produced $390,805. The result after the demand deadline and up until just before the tax sale on December 5th satisfied 11 delinquent properties and produced $545,891. That's 21 property owners who were ultimately motivated to procure funds to bring their tax obligation current in the amount of $936,696. The result from the day of the tax sale satisfied 6 delinquent properties and produced an additional $160,000 to $502. 2 properties were taken by the city and are now off the tax roll. At the end of the entire process, the total revenue collected on 27 delinquent properties is $1,097,199.60. The process, while tedious and time-consuming, provides much-needed revenue for the city. It is this process that I intend to carry out in the future. I would like to thank Mayor Delgado and the Derby Board of Aldermen for their favorable acceptance of this process, Corporation Counsel Francis Teodoso for his legal expertise along with his staff, and the WPCA Administrator Marcy McGuire for her assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. The Tax Collector's Office is not the only department making a positive contribution to our bottom line. We have made significant improvements in the efficiency of our Public Works Department. While improving maintenance and service levels, many jobs that were previously hired out are now being handled in-house at a reduced cost to our taxpayers. We have also taken measures to ensure that the resources consumed are in direct proportion to the job performed. So far this year, those practices, among others, have saved the city of Derby another $85,000. Please give your attention to Public Works Director Anthony DeFala as he shares more about the accomplishments of his department.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'd like to just thank everyone in public here, all the city leaders, Board of Aldermen, Police Department, all the other departments. We worked hand in hand the past year, and we've gotten a lot accomplished. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Sorry, Anthony, I gotta fix that.
Just in my department alone, we've taken on a lot of projects that were normally subbed out in the past year. We've done most of this work in-house and saved the city a tremendous amount of dollars in the past 11 months. We have a preventative maintenance program in place. We've upgraded a lot of equipment through the help of the city, the board. Our fuel, we now have a new fuel access system which monitors the fuel consumption in the city, and we can track fuel use right to the 10th. It was a needed upgrade, and through capital and with the help of Keith, we were able to get this done in a timely fashion. My future improvements upcoming, what I'd like to do in regards to the city itself, I'm going to be working on Whittick Park to beautify the whole road frontage, both drains, east and west side. Ryan Field will have improvements in the upcoming year. I'd like to briefly go over our bulk pickup schedule because I had a lot of problems this past year as far as when to put it out and when to get it picked up. So we do this from the beginning of May to October, and it's the first Tuesday of every month. So I just want to get that out of the way. Road bonds. I want to thank all the citizens for passing that referendum. We will be starting our road work this year. Our first 3 roads that will be scheduled will be Benanto Drive, Yoker Lane, and Evelyn Road. And we will be aggressive with this program. And there's 12 roads on the schedule, and we're going to get them done in a timely fashion. Lastly, not to take up too much of your time, anytime any citizens in this town have a complaint, you can email me at this web address. It's derbypw@derbyct.gov, or call our department. My door is open. I want to keep this proactive, basic way I want to do things for the next year. I want to keep improvement and keep, I want to keep making improvements to the city. And really, that's really, one more thing I'd like to touch base on. Excuse me. All right, so we also have a LEAF program, which is upcoming. The Department of Energy and Environmental Protection is going to implement the program. Our leaf collection is important. When you do have leaves that need to be bagged and need to get rid of, please call us. We will come and pick them up. We don't want them curbside. Other than that, that's really all I have to say. I want to thank everyone here for the opportunity to be street commissioner in this town, and I just want to assure you that our department is going to be proactive for the next year. Thank you.
There's a lot of legislation coming down, and Anthony's been very, very active in saying whether, how it's going to affect the towns and cities. So, you didn't want to go through that whole thing, but he's awesome for knowing. We also needed to get tough on blight to preserve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. The Board of Aldermen and I worked together to establish a new blight subcommittee. The mission of this subcommittee is to inspire property stewardship. Throughout Derby's neighborhoods, this effort has been successful in guiding many property owners to compliance. Unfortunately, some properties are beyond rehabilitation. So far this year, 2 of these properties, which had been a concern for the area neighbors for years, have been demolished. To help our most distressed property owners with urgent home repairs, Derby has successfully applied for and received a $400,000 federal HUD grant administered by the Connecticut Housing Department. I'm delighted to tell you that 12 Derby homeowners benefited from this grant so far, which provides for deferred or low-interest loans. Another tool we have to improve Derby's neighborhoods is recently adopted a clean and lean ordinance. Please welcome Alderman Art Perkins, Art will explain more about this new ordinance, as well as many other legislative actions the Board of Aldermen has taken to move Derby in a positive direction. Welcome, Art.
Good afternoon, everybody. I was told I was going to speak on Thursday, so I guess I'm the silver medalist guy that's up here today, but we'll do our best. I wanted to talk about some of the changes that have occurred this past year, but before we discuss these changes, I wanted to tell a story that demonstrates how hard and sometimes painful changes can be. So indulge me for a couple moments. I lived in California for about a decade, and I loved the lifestyle out there. You know, I used to scuba dive through the underwater kelp forest. I used to play beach volleyball after work, and it was a great lifestyle. Something else I enjoyed about California was California fashion. I was one of those guys, I always had sunglasses on my head. You know, I used to wear a different assortment of t-shirts and tank tops, and I was one of those guys with the Van checkerboard sneakers. But one thing that I never owned was a pair of board shorts. Now, for those of you that don't know what board shorts are, it's the swimsuits that surfers wear. They're usually pretty long, and they're very colorful, at least the ones that I like. So I was in BJ's this past summer, and I saw they were having a sale on board shorts. And I thought, wow. Now, I don't know why I thought, wow. I guess maybe I'm in a rut, and I want to change. You know, you get in this rut of going to work every day, dropping off the kids, coming home, eating dinner, going to meetings, and so I want to change. So I looked at the board shorts. I was picking through them, and one of the things I noticed was there was no mesh liner inside the shorts. And I thought, huh, that's strange. You know, this is a bathing suit. There's no mesh liner. So I did what a lot of people do. I picked up my smartphone, and I Googled, do you wear underwear under board shorts? And a couple seconds later, I received an answer. And one of the answers said that, you know, most people don't wear anything under their board shorts. And he went on, which answered my second question was, but don't worry, they're usually long enough where nothing is going to be, shall we say, seen. Okay? So I made my purchase, and I went to a pool party that weekend. Success. I was feeling great. Everyone was telling me how cool these board shorts looked, and yeah, I was loving it. Well, after a while, I decided I needed to use the restroom, and I went in there, and I'm standing up, and I opened the Velcro Fly, which is another thing my generation and older probably don't have too much experience with, but I thought it was a cool feature to have on these things. So I'm standing there, and that's when I realized how hard and painful change can be. You see, Velcro has the nasty habit of clamping on to everything that it touches. So after a few painful moments, I realized that if I needed to Google something before I wear it, I probably shouldn't be wearing it. Okay, now to Derby. I told you change is hard, sometimes difficult, as I think my story demonstrated. Soon after taking office, we were informed that there may be some issues at O'Sullivan Island. It was painful to close O'Sullivan Island, but it was the prudent action to take. We learned, as the mayor said, that the computers in City Hall were failing. They had obsolete operating programs. Many of them had no antivirus software. It was a challenge. It was painful for us to go to the tax board and say, hey, this needs to be funded. Think about it. We have a city with a hospital and a birthing center in it. Every day people come down to our City Hall for birth certificates, and we couldn't even do this basic job without jumping through hoops. So the network is now working. The computers were bought. Again, it was painful, but it needed to be done. A chunk of concrete was then placed on one of our tables at a meeting. And admittedly, it was used as a visual aid to demonstrate the parking garage and some of the issues they were facing. It was tough and agonizing to close that garage while we got it inspected and made some temporary repairs. Given the visual aid that was presented us, we had no other choice. This year, we adopted a stricter blight ordinance and changed the perception of our blight program. The the mayor mentioned, she established a blight subcommittee, and that's their focus. They focus on blight. The properties that were blighted, they were actually funded so that we could take some of these down, and the money remained there. The buildings remained there until recently. As the mayor mentioned, 2 buildings have now been taken down, and there's a list of more that are going to be taken down. I think our blight program is now something to be reckoned with. We implemented a clean and lean program. Property owners are informed when their properties are in disrepair, and we work with them. They're given the opportunity to address the problems. But if the warnings go unheeded, we'll clean it ourselves and send them the bill. We've authorized an Adopt a Spot program so that citizens can be involved in beautifying different areas of our city. We've created a dog park advisory board so that the citizens can enjoy this beautiful dog park and can enjoy this beautiful resource. We entered into a contract with our garbage collector and our transfer station. While we're speaking of the transfer station, Derby is almost ready to go and start using solar energy, another accomplishment we've pushed forward this year. Terry Bradshaw. Oops, wait a minute. Did I say that or think it? Scratch that. No, seriously though. That made a lot of the press. It went viral, the news of Terry Bradshaw and that whole thing. But what wasn't mentioned was the great work done in our tax office. Nearly $1.1 million. At the same meeting that we learned about the doings of the tax office, we also finished the sale on East Derby Waterworks for nearly $1.5 million. That didn't get reported, but that was at the same exact meeting that Community of Distinctions thing was discussed. Our board acts on suggestions from the great citizens of Derby and from a number of people. This year, longtime resident Red Clinch was memorialized by naming the softball field after him. This idea didn't come from our board, it came from Parks and Rec. What a wonderful tribute to a great man and citizen of Derby. The 9/11 memorial on the green has become a reality. This was brought up by members of our fire department and others in the community. Speaking of the fire department, one of the first things we did as a board was we toured the 4 different firehouses, and then we made recommendations for capital improvements where we could find the funds to do so. Our police department has been great. They do a great job, but one of the things that they did was they worked with us to get signage for school bus crossings where they were lacking. They also worked together with our outstanding Public Works office and a citizen request for a crosswalk so that people could get to and from the football field has become a reality. Was it painful to ask the taxpayers to make improvement to our sewage system? Sure it was. Yet the people of Derby spoke, and they realized that we could no longer ignore our infrastructure. Now, I began by saying that change is hard and sometimes painful. What I failed to mention is that sometimes change is good. If we tear away the Velcro bureaucracies, policies, and mindset that have kept our town down for so long, then Derby's greatest days are in its future. In fact, to use a tagline from a song, and something that a small parochial school at 14 Seymour Avenue used as their tagline, who managed to stay open despite great odds, the future's so bright, you're gonna need shades. Thank you.
Art mentioned, Derby is also going green. With support from our Board of Aldermen and City, entered into a contract with Jordan Energy to install solar panels at no cost to taxpayers. It's on the Derby's old landfill. The resulting energy credits will be passed to municipal meters throughout the city. Not only will this initiative help protect our environment, it will make a positive impact on our bottom line. My administration has also been working hard to tackle issues that have been sidestepped for years, and we've mentioned a few. Art has mentioned them. The largest, of course, is the contamination of the O'Sullivan Island, our deteriorating municipal parking garage, and Derby's failing sewer treatment system. When I took office, the city of Derby was faced with an overdue bill from the EPA of nearly $4 million for a cleanup performed at O'Sullivan Island over 5 years ago. With the assistance from the Valley Council of Governments, our Corporation Council, our Board of Aldermen, the City of Derby, recently we reached a settlement agreement with EPA that reduced our obligation to $675,000. However, our diligence also revealed that the EPA only removed PCBs from targeted areas. Despite concerns of additional contaminants, testing was never followed through. That is why the Board of Aldermen and I quickly moved to restrict the public access. To provide dedicated oversight in this issue, I initiated the O'Sullivan Island Advisory Committee. The committee has been charged with determining the most cost-effective way to restore recreational use to O'Sullivan Island while safeguarding public health. As a first step, the committee has undertaken soil testing to help assess the present risk. Thanks to the support of the Valley Council of Governments, a grant has been secured to cover the cost of the testing. Once the results are fully evaluated, the committee will propose potential alternatives in support of our goal. I expect to have those options soon. My administration also inherited a deteriorating municipal parking garage. Less than a month into office, the Board of Aldermen and I were confronted with a large piece of cement that had apparently fallen from one of the parking decks. The aldermen they made the hard choice, to immediately close the structure out of the valid concern for safety. But that action wreaked havoc on our downtown businesses and residents. A swift response was needed to restore the structure to use. Emergency repairs were made and the garage is now safely functioning. However, these repairs are only temporary. To bring this long-standing problem to a resolution, I have appointed new members to the Derby Parking Authority and have charged them with the task of examining each and every option we have to serve the parking needs of our downtown businesses and residents. I am looking forward to the recommendation within the coming months. Perhaps the largest and most expensive issue facing the city when I took office was the condition of the sewer treatment system. For years, city leaders did not want to take on the problem because it was deemed politically unpopular. However, without resolution, development in our city would be stagnated. Users would be haunted by the possibility of system failure, and the city would always be under the threat of large fines from sewage release. I am proud to say that we took the issue to members of our community by referendum, and they sent a clear message. They are ready to move Derby forward. Now, I begin the process of making the long overdue repairs to our sewage infrastructure. To ease the financial impact on our ratepayers, proposed by the WPCA, sewer bills next year will be due twice a year instead of once. Some serious lessons need to be learned from years of neglecting our city's infrastructure. Planning and maintenance are critical to protecting our assets and taxpayer dollars. To ensure this lesson is not lost, the Board of Aldermen and I will be putting an infrastructure oversight committee in place. This committee will be charged with overseeing planning and as well as scrutinizing costs associated with these actions. Despite these challenges, I have been working diligently to grow Derby's tax base. A larger tax base means there are more to share the cost of running, maintaining, and advancing our city. Shortly after taking office, I signed Derby up as a member on the National Main Street Program. The National Main Street Program gives Derby access to a network of cities and towns around the country facing the same challenges as Derby. The cities and towns are very eager to share their successes and failures, and often offer practical solutions to common problems. This is one of many of my mission, is to develop and implement strategies that will increase Derby's economic vitality, strengthen its role as a center of educational, cultural, and social activity, and enhance its reputation as an exciting place to live, work, and play. We cannot wait for, nor should we expect, a single investor to come in and transform our city. That's like relying on winning the lottery. It is our responsibility as a community to create a desirable quality of place, one that is attractive to investors, one that invites them in. Derby is in a competition for residents and employers with every city and town, from New York to Boston and beyond. We need to find a way to set ourselves apart. The answer lies in our ability to market the wonderful assets in and around our community. Since taking office, my community development efforts have been focused on 4 strategic areas: infrastructure, education, quality of life, and community building. Infrastructure includes the basic physical systems of our community, such as transportation, communication, sewage, water, electric. These systems are essential for economic activity. Passing the referendum was a critical first step in rebuilding our sewage infrastructure. This sends an important message to potential investors that Derby is ready to do business, and there are many reasons to do business in Derby. One of our greatest assets is its proximity to major highways and rail service. I will continue to work with our local and state agencies on transit-centered initiatives. Education is also a key component of our economic development. A quality education affords students the best opportunity for gainful employment, and employers the best opportunity for qualified employees. We must continue to improve the quality of Derby's educational programming and expand the variety of opportunities available to students of all ages. Superintendent Dr. Matt Conway and his team, with support from Derby's Board of Education, are making extraordinary advances in pursuit of this goal. Dr. Conway's here to share some of their achievements. Dr. Conway's here.
Thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity and the invitation to highlight some of the accomplishments of the school district in the past year. And a special thanks to Art for his story on change. It's a little bit of what I'm going to talk about is change and the difficulty of it. A little bit different story. Let me begin. Well, I'm going to discuss some of the accomplishments over the past 23 months. I want to let you know that we never, ever stop improving, looking for ways to do things better, or think because we got a few things right, we do not need to continue to practice every second, every minute, every day to get better at what we do for your children. When we know something is wrong, we're going to fix it. When we know something is right, we're going to continue to practice to make it even better. And when we know something is right, we're not going to stop, we're not going to sit back, and we're not going to wait to see what others are doing. Leading means we will be out in front, leading the change so our children are prepared, our children can compete, and our children will not fail because we have not provided them with the right tools, the opportunity for practice, and the opportunity to experience how their peers are learning. This takes commitment, this takes trust, and yes, Mayor, this takes grit. And it takes a community of people willing to come together and take risks, willing to fail, and know that risk by risk, we will get it right. Because sitting back and waiting to see what others are doing means our children will not experience what they should be experiencing. Our children will not be prepared. Our children will not be able to compete. We already know that 66.4% of students entering a four-year degree college are unprepared and drop out or do not graduate with even 5 years. We already know in Connecticut that only 4% of those students attending a two-year college graduate in 2 years. We cannot continue this trend. So what are we doing? With the help of many, we have developed 4 pillars to organize our work. And most anybody in the district should be able to tell you what they are. They are academics, human capital, operations, and cultural and climate. In the interest of time, I'm going to share some of the data about only 2 of those today, academics and operations. Operations. The goal is to promote greater economic efficiencies in district operations while preserving educational qualities and increasing access to technology. Some of these accomplishments: promoted a collaborative bidding with other school districts for busing, food service, fuel, and most recently, as this week, with electricity to reduce costs. Evaluated the reconfiguring of our elementary schools and determined that that may have a negative impact on learning for our children. Supported the implementation of digital learning in our classrooms. Most importantly, to help us do all this, encouraged the application to outside resources to support district needs. And in the past year alone, we have brought in $496,000 to redesign our high school, over $605,000 in security funding, a brand new state-of-the-art $100,000 fitness center, and over $115,000 in technology funding, just to name a few. In total, in new funding from outside sources for this city, $3,422,487 for our children and our schools. In the President's State of the Nation address last January, he discussed 3 educational initiatives his administration will pursue over the coming years. It was universal preschool for all children ages 3 to 5. It was 100% connectivity for all children in their community. And it was the establishment of a high school redesign plan that would better prepare our students, our children, for college and career. I discussed earlier, we will not sit on the sidelines and wait to see what others do. Here's an example of that. Last month, CAPS released a draft of a white paper. CAPS is the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents, of which I sit on the board of directors for, released a draft of a white paper on personalized learning. In this paper, they described what learning should look like if we are going to prepare our students for the 21st century. The paper was written to present CAPS' position on 21st century learning to our policymakers in the state and in Washington. What is described in the paper as recommendations where learning should be going, it's happening here in this very building every single day in our freshman academy. We just had the privilege of having 20 superintendents from across the state come here to observe that. So while people are writing what should be happening, here in Derby, it's happening. We are practicing that every single day. We are leading the change and helping shape the future classroom, teacher, and learning in this country. We now more than ever before know how your child's learning, what they still need to know, and what resources they will need from us to get there. Another example, the first of only 6 districts in the country to implement a one-to-one laptop program for all students grades 6 through 12 with, yes, 24/7, 100% connectivity for all students. We have outfitted every classroom in the district with Eno and smartboards. We have transformed the Freshman Academy into a 21st century classrooms with the rest of this building to be completed in the next few months. That means every single classroom. And we are only one of 12 districts in the country to receive state-of-the-art fitness center through the National Foundation for Governors Fitness Council. Throughout the district, at every grade level, we have implemented benchmark assessments to help us guide instruction, learning, and progress by individual student. Here are some highlights of that learning. And as Art mentioned, not everything we do is going to make the press. What I'm about to share is are probably the single most important things that we need to know about what is happening. We define academics for our goal is to ensure that each of our students is academically prepared to succeed in life and in a global economy. How have we improved student achievement? The high school, 10th grade students showed gains of 2.5% in reading scores for students achieving goal and above. Students showed a 3.3% gain in writing for students meeting proficiency and above. At our middle school, 8th grade, 12.5% gains in math for students meeting goal and above, the hardest of the achievements. 2.2% gains in math for students meeting proficiency and above. 3.9% gains in reading for students meeting goal and above. 3.1% gains in writing for students meeting proficiency and above. 15.6% gains in science for students meeting goal and above. 9.8% gains in science for students meeting proficiency and above. Our middle school 7th grade, 21.6% gains in math for students meeting goal and above. 9.9% gains in math for students meeting proficiency and above. 5.7% gains in writing for students meeting goal and above. And 2.7% gains in writing for students meeting proficiency and above. Middle school 6th grade, 8.9% gains in reading for students meeting goal and above, and 8.7% gains in writing for students meeting goal and above. 4th grade, 12.6% gains in math for students meeting goal and above. 6.6% gains in math for students meeting proficiency and above. 6.3% gains in reading for students meeting goal and above. 22.7% gains in reading for students meeting goal and above, and 17.9% gains in writing for students meeting goal and above. 5th grade, 8.8% gains in math for students meeting goal and above, 15.4% gains in reading for students meeting proficiency and above, 35% gains in writing for students meeting goal and above, 29.3% gains in writing for students meeting proficiency and above, 16.9% gains in science for students meeting proficiency above, 15% gains in reading for students meeting goal and above. In one of our schools, who those gains that I just read under the 5th grade are most attributed to, Irving, has moved from a target school to a review school due to the improvements that they have made over the past year. We've worked very hard with the school readiness program, the DECC, and the newly created Office of Early Childhood with the state of Connecticut to create a state-of-the-art preschool to offer access to every child in the city of Derby for early childhood and preschool education at no cost to local taxpayers. See, I figured if Finland could do it, so can't Derby. These are some of the accomplishments that we've been able to do over the past year, but none of them are possible without the partnerships that we have both within and outside of this city, and most importantly, without the voices of every single member of this community. Needs to hear from our parents, our community members, and I just can't urge you enough to continue reaching out. There's a lot of neat things happening and a lot of people doing all the heavy lifting to make it happen. So thank you again for this opportunity, Mayor, and I look forward to continued growth in our schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Quality of life is a key consideration when choosing a place to live or locate a business. In addition to education, jobs, public transportation, senior services, housing, recreation, cultural attractions, and public safety all contribute to the well-being of a community. By developing and expanding activities and assets that enhance the quality of life in Derby, we will increase the opportunity for people to choose to live in and visit our city. This will inherently provide positive exposure and stimulate economic growth. Some of the new activities my administration has supported include the first annual EcoFest, a free LED light bulb exchange in partnership with the Home Depot and Energize Connecticut, a family-oriented scavenger hunt at Derby Day, and the Connecticut Solar Challenge. These events could not have happened without the dedication of Derby's Cultural Commission, city staff, and countless volunteers. While Derby may be the smallest in the state, it is important to recognize that Derby's community is not bound by this designation. Since taking office, I have spoken with countless members of our greater business community, including the New Haven Manufacturers Association, the Greater Valley Chamber of Commerce, Valley Community Foundation, State Department of Economic and Community Development, Connecticut Workplace, and the Connecticut Trust for Historic Preservation. Through building and strengthening relationships among local business leaders and organizations and community members, I am building a network of advocates to help us promote and advance our city. The power of such a network is greater than any single entity and has the ability to sustain positive momentum. However, the job is not mine alone. We must all share the responsibility of promoting our community. Community pride carries with it a tremendous amount of positive energy that can propel our city forward, just as negative energy can stifle our efforts and stunt its growth. Derby has a lot going for it. A large inventory of historic buildings, traditional neighborhood schools, a state-of-the-art hospital and cancer center, abundant natural attractions, great recreational facilities, and a compact city center. Major highways, a train station, a multitude of colleges and universities are also easily accessible from a central location. We need to maintain a focus on what we have, not on what we don't, because for a little city, we sure have a lot to offer. While we have made great strides in this past, our work is not done yet. In the coming year, I will continue to work toward the goals I have shared with you today. Before you leave this afternoon, I want to give you a little homework assignment. Please take a look through your tote bag you received today. While the contents don't reflect every business and organization in our city, they certainly represent a great sampling of what community has to offer. Your assignment is this. Tell me what's missing. Is there any other business or organization that would nicely complement what we already have here? Talk to your friends and neighbors. See what they think. Perhaps you might even discover a business opportunity for yourself or someone you know. I want you to share your thoughts with me. My door is always open. You could stop by any time during one of my open sessions on Thursday evenings. One of the steps I took to encourage participation and support transparency in our local government. This is your city, and you play a very important role in building its future. In the meantime, I encourage you to participate and eat in our restaurants, patronize our shops, and volunteer in our local organizations. As a community, their success is our success. In closing, I would like to thank each of you for taking time out of your weekend to join me today. I'm excited about the future of Derby. I hope you are too. Together we can continue to move Derby forward. Thank you again for offering and putting me in this position. It's an awesome job. So now, please join me in the cafeteria for some refreshments. And while you're there, take some time to admire the wonderful pieces of artwork on display, courtesy of the Valley Arts Council. So I will be in the cafeteria. If you have any questions, I will be there. So thank you all for coming this afternoon. Thank you so much.